Hey, everybody. Chastity here. Let's give people an opportunity to pop on. I didn't expect to come on live today just because I'd already done a session with Colin today. But, I'm going to start doing some stuff that is a little bit more, just doing some more. Hello, Judy. Just doing stepping out a little bit more of my comfort zone. I've done some things on my own here and there, but I have some really great guests lined up that are going to come on. We're going to be able to chat with new people, new faces, and get their stories out and how they are dealing with ascension and the changes in life. But tonight, I just wanted to reach out and, I try for the most part, I stay pretty clear of any news feeds. I haven't actually watched news in, I don't know, over 10 years. It's been quite some time. But I do pop on and watch clips here and there of things, but I spend most of my time observing and feeling the energy and sensations that people, that our collective consciousness is going through. And I also am able to see, from being able to work with people one-on-one when we do sessions, how life these days is affecting them. And, it's so interesting because we're all so very different. But one of the things that I've noticed from day one of this pandemic has been the fear of death. And this level of fear that has been rising up in people has been really very challenging for humanity to deal with. We've never really understood what death is. And there's a dying and a dropping of the body, and there's also a dying and a rebirth. And I really have noticed people, this is most curious because people who have been getting this particular virus, it's mutated in so many different kinds of ways. Some people have it physically worse than others, and there's so many things that go into this. It's where are we emotionally? Where are we mentally? What have we accomplished in our lives? Where are we in our ascension path? And it is so curious because people who have gotten it really intensely, I've noticed, come out on the other side as if they have died. So it's as if their physical bodies, they're transmuting, I think, years and years and lifetime of traumas, and being able to transmute that and step into their soul bodies. They're kind of being fast-tracked for an ascension, and they're feeling it physically. And I'm not saying that's for everybody. I'm saying there has been a handful of people that have been transmuting information this way, transmuting past traumas. And when faced with, oh my God, I'm going to die, they're actually taking that feeling and creating it into a rebirth and an actualization of soul integration. And so while it's been very challenging, it's been amazing. I've personally watched a really good friend of mine struggle through getting sick, and I guess I don't want to say the words because I just don't want to be kicked off, but have gotten this transmission, and I watched her not have the strength to walk around, not have the strength to breathe, to eat, and really was very challenged. And she plugged along best that she could, feeling like crap every single day. She couldn't feel herself. She didn't feel normal. She didn't feel the same. And coming out on the other side, she isn't the same. She is able to actually see herself integrate with her higher self. So she's actually integrating her monadic piece, which is a spiritual piece. She's moved well beyond the soul piece, but she's beginning to put the pieces together and actualize on this level. And it's been quite fascinating. It's dissolved her fear, not just of death, which, for her personally, she didn't just have a fear of death, but she had a fear of really stepping into who and what she is, the power that she holds within. And watching, I'm getting chills in my body, because watching her transform and believe in herself, because when we first met, she didn't believe in herself. Her sacral chakra was shattered. She really was challenged to overcome the physical restraints that we feel in our bodies that keep us from embodying our soul. And she was able to overcome self-worth and moving into empowerment, stepping into not only her femininity, but understand what it was to embody the divine masculine and have these two dance in union together. She can feel her wings. She can see colors different now. It's really been so amazing. So I know that I'll have her on at some point to share her story, because, she's going to share what she went through and be able to explain some terminologies that we have misunderstood. I don't go for the whole, like, what do people say, like twin flame things, but not into that kind of stuff. But when you understand what it is to meet your personal counterpart, it's really fascinating to watch somebody grow into this and understand a new language and embody it. I've also seen a friend of mine that, and maybe I'll have him on sometime too, but he got really sick and was hospitalized. We have a hospital here that I personally believe is part of a death cult. That's my personal assumption from my own viewing of the organization, remote viewing and sensing into the organization. So it's been really unfortunate. They still intubate people, which so many of us know is not the way to go. So I cannot believe I watched this son of a bitch fight for his life against them putting medicines in that he didn't want. He had advocates trying to speak for him. And when I went in to do some soul work on him, I saw him sitting outside of his body saying, I don't understand what's happening. And I'll tell you what, he fought for his life for quite some time. And it was really beautiful to watch, because even in the little bits of interaction that we've had since he's been out, it's been beautiful, because he feels energetically different. His language looks a little bit different. And so there's another aspect of not being afraid to die. When we look death in the face, we can turn it into anything. And so what we're seeing in the fields is, something that we've talked about before, and that's really, there's a really big, massive push for death. It's a death cult. There's a death agenda. And what is that looking like when we're facing this? How do we overcome this, and how do we step out of that darkness and into the light to override these frequencies and these powers that are held within? You know, everywhere we turn, everybody says, well, there's one thing for certain, and that's we're all going to die. You know, so we grow up thinking this, well, I'm just going to die. So what do I have to live for? Or I'm just going to die. So what do I have to lose? I can do whatever it is that I want to do, eat whatever I want to eat, do whatever it is I want to do. And in actuality, some people have chosen to devalue themselves. And when we devalue ourselves, it keeps us locked in that darkness and in that fear, and it doesn't allow for us to release our own bindings and our thought bindings. And they're not just, I see so many of us, myself included in the past, you know, just chaining myself to my own darkness and seeing myself in others, but not really understanding that I was seeing myself. So when I saw hatred, or I saw anger, or I saw abuse, or put myself in those situations, it was really hard for me to understand that I was looking at a mirror of myself, whether that be my soul traumas or my soul expression, or how I thought about myself, or even projections of what other people thought of me, and how I took that in. Yeah, Judy, it's so disempowering. And so taking little tiny bites of changing and doing little things to empower ourselves and stepping out of fear is going to be kind of our way back into the light. And how do we bring humanity out of scarcity? How do we bring them out of the fear of death, the fear of disempowerment? And, you know, one of the easiest ways to do that is to really just work on ourselves. For those of us that can, be able to embody higher vibrational frequencies, being able to move through the thickness of what humanity is experiencing right now, the heaviness, the density, one person at a time. It literally takes one person to decide to change. It takes one person to have a different thought process and be able to then shift humanity into a higher vibration. And yeah, you're right. We are on the edge of something really big, and it's you know, why so many of us are out here speaking, trying to change. You know, bring a resonance, not change anything, but just have our voices be heard in any of the ways that they can be heard. So stepping out of fear and stepping into the light. We have nothing to lose. Our soul lives on. We live on, and we're going to live on through all that we are going to experience. Whether we drop our bodies or not, we still live on. But there's some changes coming, and it's going to bring many of us into, I think, a darker darkness, and almost like a despair or a desperation, and being mindful about how we approach people, being mindful about how we speak to them. And I know that we are so I guess judgmental is a fair word. We all hold judgment in whether or not a judgment of what somebody else has chosen to do for their own health reasons, or for their own personal reasons. But it's hard to hold judgment back. And so I just invite everybody who can hold a 0 point and can hold a neutrality, to be very mindful about how we speak to people moving forward, because they're hurting. Humanity is hurting, and they're fearful, and they're in desperation. And when animals, and humans are a form of animal, especially when They're in dealing with high cortisol levels and coming from a dark space, coming from the vibration of fear. They act like animals. And this is, we're seeing in behaviors. Lots of people are pointing the finger, yelling, fighting, screaming, who's better than who, what's better than that. People's friends and family, they're dying. People aren't understanding why. And so just using kind words. And if, just go back to the old adage, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I know that that's sometimes can be challenging, but, you know, find a community or one or two friends that you guys get to just kind of say what you need to say to get it off your chest, bring yourself back to 0 point and help each other heal and move through that, because, you know, we can't do it by ourselves. But smile when you have an opportunity to smile, and be gentle when somebody is angry because they're hurting, they're scared, they're in fear, and maybe don't have the tools to come out of that pit of darkness. So if we have the opportunity to help anybody, and even if that means just turning around and not saying anything at all, I invite you to do so, just to bring as much positivity as you can. This doesn't mean ignoring what's happening, because we're not going to ignore what's happening, but we can create the change that we want to see by being the change that we wish for. So, yeah. That's right. They don't have the tools. So the part that we're addressing with the fear of death is that we want to be able to prepare ourselves for the next level. So we're leaving a reality, a lower vibration behind. That is death. And it feels very real. It's very scary. We don't know what we're stepping into. And so no matter where we are on the ladder of ascension, we're all experiencing some level of change, so some level of death. And however it is for each person is going to be unique to the emotions that they have been able to clear and deal with, and also the people who have not been able to control their own emotions. So learning that there's lots of different transformation happening on many different levels, and it's happening en masse. And so what the earth is doing is, whether you believe in it or not, it doesn't really matter. We're all being pushed and purged through the birth canal. So there's going to be lots of pressure, lots of scariness, and chaos. And that's okay, because we're going to come out on the other side and we're going to be able to breathe. And so one of the things that I do regularly is I just wake up in the morning and I start just by breathing, connecting into my breath. I don't do this every morning. It's automatic for me, but it took me time to get to an automatic place. But spending the time to just wake up, feel into my heart, and express gratitude for all that I have around me. The walls, my blankets, my children, my animals, food, everything that I have, I'm grateful for. I connect my heart into all that matters to me. And I always try to work from that space. If I am angry, I lash out, it's instant now that I'm able to bring myself back into my heart center and come from a compassionate space, and learn how to feel liberation by knowing that I get to control my emotions. And it's okay if we don't know how to teach that to other people, because by becoming that, we then will be a mirror for other people to be able to see and experience. So, yeah, as we move into these times, my suggestion is not to try not to worry and try not to project. And I know that that's not easy, but when something comes up and you're faced with any of the scary things that that we might step into, like some people, for instance, I know here in my state, we're looking at the possibility of more quarantines. We have sites that are up that are called quarantine sites. And if I were to be looking around at things that have happened in other parts of the world, I could choose to be really scared for my family, scared for my children. And instead of just sit in a paralyzed fear, I choose to take action. So what can I do to change the situation? What can I do? Where am I going to be most effective? Is that going to be sitting in prayer and meditation? Is that going to be putting on my hat and gloves and scarf and going out and picketing against something? Or is it going to be, how am I going to be effective? Handing out flyers to people to let them know what the actual laws are? Do I want to take the time to understand what sovereignty means and then practice that? When a family member doesn't want me around anymore because I don't have poison injected into me, am I going to throw a fit about it? Or am I just going to say, well, it looks like this is part of the bifurcation and we're going to go our separate ways until next time, see you on the other side. Maybe, it's how are we going to deal with it? How are we going to be most effective? I choose to pull my kids out of school, or one of my kids is in school and I don't like face diapers and all of these things. And that's exactly what I call them, face diapers. That's what it is. It's honestly, I find it quite embarrassing for humanity. And I find it very stifling. It stifles our voice. It stifles our sovereignty. And that's okay. Not everybody feels that way. Some people believe that it protects them, and it's going to be my job then to honor that and to teach where I'm invited to teach, not offer unsolicited advice. So know where your strengths are, know where and how you can help, and put it into action. It might be something as simple as just not going out or talking to anybody until we're able to hold a non-judgmental 0-point space, and that's okay too. So, my goodness. Ontario, Canada has major restrictions again. I'm from Ontario. Yeah, I have lots of friends in Ontario and other parts of Canada. And my gosh, it's, we talk in our little community, and it's crazy what's happening. It's completely unheard of. But if we go back in history and we look at the histories of humanity, we have been in these kinds of battles before. And some of them we've lost. Lots of them we've lost because, obviously we haven't got out of the bindings that our consciousness is in. We haven't been able to understand how to move through this matrix, but there have been times of awakening, and we happen to be living through that now. So there's no doubt in my mind, there's no doubt in my soul codes, there's no doubt in all of that I am, that we get through this. So we're in for some pretty heavy times. It's always darkest before the dawn. And I forget who says that, but it's just a true statement. It's always darkest before the dawn. And so we're going to see some more darkness, and it's going to increase the levels of fear in people. And, but just know that right around the corner, it's like we awaken in the heart. It's like we're home. We come back to all that we are. And And yeah, there are a lot leaving. There are quite a few leaving. Some of them, their contracts are up and they don't want to be part of this. Some of them, unfortunately, are leaving, but having felt that they are doing so, helping humanity, and it's all okay. Yes, it's all okay. No matter what people's choice are, it's all okay. And yeah, there's it's going to be. I think it's already been very challenging to witness. I'm not going to lie about that. Watching what the world is going through, being able to see through the veil and not call everybody idiots is sometimes really challenging. I mean, I'll be honest, it is. But it's we then go back and then go, okay, well, here we go, and we start over. We start the next day. And I think I was talking with a girlfriend, and she said the ones that made it through the Holocaust, like the most recent Holocaust that we went through in World War II, was the ones that survived said, I'm going to make it out of here no matter what. Not, I'm going to just make it till tomorrow, or I'm going to make it a week from now, or anything. It was, I am going to make it no matter what. And I think that that's the type of attitude we need to embrace. No matter what happens, I'm coming out of here. And I'm coming out with my soul intact. I'm coming out. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and embody my soul and my spirit. I'm just going to become something better. I'm going to take this opportunity to transform into something that we haven't seen in a really long time. So I'm going to take all of that fear, I'm going to ask it to stand in line, and I'm going to ask every single one of them to come up and tell me what they have an issue with. And I'm going to love it anyway. And when we embrace fear and we look it in the face, it dissolves. It doesn't hold anything over us anymore. And not everybody knows that, but you know it now, and now you're going to start working with it if you haven't already. Okay, well, that's all I had to say for today. I just wanted to pop on because the idea of fear was really coming in for me tonight. And it's an interesting vibration in the air. And I know for me, it shifted. There was a really big shift on Christmas Day. And that day, rumor has it, I don't know like where everybody is in their belief structures or anything like that, but rumor has it that the AC or the Antichrist actually anchored in his energies, their energies, whatever it is, and basically took the seat or the throne for the next part of their agenda. And so it was really curious to me because when I had felt this, I buckled over. I fell over onto the table, and my heart started beating and palpitating, and surges and waves of energy came through. My magnetic field basically was fully attacked. So that's the left side of my body. That's my female aspect. And I bring in Sophianic templating, and it was being attacked. And my whole body was going through sweats. And all of a sudden, here comes this wave of emotion and an overwhelming sense of all the feelings at once. It's like the most intense grief you can imagine that goes through somebody. And I started crying uncontrollably. And thank goodness I had a friend there at the time that was able to bring the electrical piece that I needed to help ground me. So we kind of acted as a current at the moment, in that moment, to be able to ground the frequencies and allow it to come through. And I was feeling the sensations of fear and death, and it was so amplified that I ended up being sick for about a week and a half, and getting all of that out of my body and recouping from that. It's just part of the way my structure is, and I'm okay with that as long as I know what I'm processing for the planet. I'm happy to do it, and I know many others of you are in the same boat and experiencing these kinds of feelings that maybe you don't have answers for. And so when you're going through something, take the time to sit in your heart or in your vertical channel, however you feel most comfortable, and ask what you're processing. And if you can't do that, then just allow yourself to sit and be still. Put your hand on your heart, maybe on the back of your head and your heart, just something to help ground and stabilize. You can tap your foot so you can kind of stay in your body, and just anything that makes you feel grounded. Maybe pre-write something that you can look at if you're feeling out of breath or destabilized, if you know your currents are being thrown off. So like I stand in my authority, or one of my favorite things to say is I am the cosmic sovereign law made manifest. I am the cosmic sovereign law made manifest. I am the cosmic sovereign law made manifest. I always say it 3 times, and you can say it 3 times in sets of 3, so 9 times. And I just ask my teams oftentimes to take over and help stabilize as well. So I'm not crying. I just have like a leaky eye for some reason. And anyway, I hope that that's helpful, and understanding to be gentle. I think you can probably already sense who will become destabilized around you. Don't be surprised if it's you. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But you can kind of already see people that have been flying off the handle and don't know how to process. And it's these people that are going to need kind words and hugs, and or maybe just know to steer clear of them if they're too unstable. So I'm sending you guys so much love. Thank you for listening to me. And I'm going to be popping on once a week, and probably for a little bit more time than this. And as I get more comfortable chatting in this space on my own, we will be bringing new faces on, hopefully having a roundtable with some amazing women. And so if any of you are feeling the call, please inbox me too, because I love meeting new people. I love combining our different vibrations and frequencies, and listening to how people are moving through these times, how they understand the ascension process, and just like what it is to be alive, because we're going to be going through some really interesting changes, and we're going to need lots of healers, and we're going to need lots of help. So let's empower each other, and I'll see you guys all, I don't know, maybe Sunday nights are a good thing to do. We'll see. I'll make a post on when the best time is. So if you guys have any ideas and suggestions, I'd love to hear those as well. Okay, much love. Thank you.